Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Hi, I'm Tanealia. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day today. It is Sunday. The sun is shining. It is an absolutely beautiful day. My allergies are acting up a little bit, but other than that, we're doing pretty good. Today, I am bringing you a new brand. It came out maybe about a month ago, so it's new-ish, but not like brand new. I'm sure many of you guys have already seen this, but this brand is called Relove. And I have pretty much a full face from the brand. Relove is a branch of Makeup Revolution. They recently launched in Walmart, and everything is $4.99 and less. So we're going back to like the basics of what drugstore makeup used to be. Drugstore brands these days, they like pushing up those prices. So it's nice to have a brand come out that actually is reminiscent of real drugstore prices. We have primers, we have foundation. I pretty much have a full face. Like they have everything from primer, foundation, powders, brow products, lip products, everything in between. You can find these products in Walmart stores. They have been slowly bringing in, the little displays with all the products. You can find them, some of the products on walmart.com, and Relove also has a website on its own. A lot of the products in my store were sold out, so I kind of grabbed what I could, but I have basically a full face, but some of the things I'll just have to kind of plug in with products that I currently already have. So the first thing we're going to do is primer. They had a lot of different formulas and I couldn't decide which ones that I wanted to get between these two. They were $4.99, so I just went ahead and I grabbed both. I grabbed the Pore Vanish primer and then the Super Matte primer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the Super Matte primer all over, and then we're just going to take the Pore Vanishing primer and then just kind of focus that in, the pore areas where it's mostly needed. I like the little pump dispenser. That makes it a lot easier to get products out. Let's see. This one is the matte. Let's see if it actually mattifies. It smells really nice. Has kind of a sweet but clean fragrance to it. Have any of you guys tried any of the Relove products? If you have, which ones have you enjoyed the most? This is my first time trying any of them, so this is like a complete first impressions from me rather. All right, so far I am not seeing a whole lot of mattifying happening. It feels more like a satin matte finish and it's a little bit sticky, so I'm going to let it sit for about 30 seconds and see if it mattifies more, and then we will go into the Pore Vanishing Primer. It's been closer to a minute and I'm definitely not seeing any like actual mattifying happening on my skin. It pretty much looks the same. I don't really see much happening at all. But let's go on ahead and try the Pore Vanishing Primer. I'm going to apply this just like in my T-zone where, I have larger pores. So apply it here, around the nose, and the chin. The fragrance smells just like the first one. Light, fresh, not overwhelming. Pores are slightly blurred, definitely have not vanished though, but I do see just a slight bit of blurring going on. Moving into foundation, the one that I picked up is the Super Matte Foundation. It's a 2-in-1 foundation and concealer. It's full coverage. They did have a lighter formula as well, which is like the serum foundation. I have seen a couple of reviews on that one, and it's supposedly similar to the one from Neutrogena as well as L'Oreal. So if you're looking for something that's like a cruelty version of either one of those, that one may work out for you, but I need something with a little more coverage. The shade that I got is F12.5. They only had, I think, like 12 shades. The one that I wanted was F11, but it was sold out. F10 was way too light. This one might be a little bit deep, but this is what we're going to be working with. Not happy about the fact that there isn't a pump. I would rather the primers be like tubes and there be a pump on the foundation. And I went ahead and I just poured some directly onto my sponge. I can already tell that this is going to be a little bit deep for my skin, but we are also going into the spring and summertime, and during that time of year I do get a little bit deeper as far as my skin tone, and we find ways to make things work on this channel. I do wish that they had the shade that I wanted available, but yeah, the shade range just wasn't that great, and so just got what I could work with, and this is okay. It has more of a kind of a reddish undertone to it. I don't know if you guys can see that on camera. I do feel like it's setting down like really quickly, so I'm not getting a whole lot of time to blend. Yeah, this is setting down like really fast. So this is a product that you're just gonna have to like work really quickly with to get it blended out. I'm gonna take a little bit more on my nose and also have like a little blemish right here. So we can cover that a little bit more. The coverage is pretty good. I would say it's more of a medium to full coverage, not a full-on coverage, and it's definitely more matte. But overall, the finish I'm not like super impressed with. They didn't have the traditional concealer, you know, with the wands or the tubes or anything like that. All they had was this, which is the concealer and contour palette. They had this in different tones, and you can see my face is looking like pretty deep here, so we're going to see if we can kind of like lighten up and even everything out a little bit more. You have like a corrector, you have some concealers here. What I'm going to do is take these here and see if I can mix them to make like a cream bronzer. Not that my face needs any more bronzing, but I do want to see if I can test them out to use in that way. I really hate that the pans are so small, but I'm going to take this kind of buffing brush from AOE Studio. I'm going to go into this shade right here, and I'm just going to lay that where I would normally put a cream bronzer. So on the temples, you know, now that I think about it, I probably should have done the concealer first, but you know, we'll make it work. I'm going to take this brush. This is the one that I love to use for cream bronzer, and I'm going to use this to blend everything out. Okay, it's actually blending out pretty well. Wish the pans were bigger, but it's not too bad. I'm going to take this shade right here and just kind of lay it all over my face. I'm going to use this little brush from Real Techniques and then just start blending it in. I have no idea what's going to happen here, but I do need to lighten everything up a little bit. It is a little bit too deep. Take my sponge and then just start blending. All right, yeah, that is looking definitely a lot better. And this is actually blending into the foundation pretty well. When you consider that the foundation set down so quickly, I wasn't sure what to expect, but that concealer is actually, it's actually blending in pretty good. For the under eyes, I'm going to go into the corrector first, and then I might have to mix these two shades for my concealer. Yeah, I am a liquid concealer girl. I don't really use cream concealers. I do use that Becca under eye corrector, but other than that, I'm not like a cream concealer person. Don't really see much correcting happening, but it is brightening. So now we're going to kind of tap into these two shades just to kind of blend to get a nice concealer shade. And then I'm going to blend everything out with my sponge. Thoughts so far on the complexion. I'm not sure how I feel about the way, you know, everything is looking right now. It's not terrible. I mean, it does look pretty nice, but I'm not really seeing much, you know, vanishing with the pores. You know, the concealer is brightening, but it's not really doing much correcting. I'm not getting much coverage where that's concerned. So far, everything looks okay, but I'm not super impressed. So what I'm going to do now, I do not have a setting powder. All they had were pressed powders, and they were sold out of all of them. I'm not a pressed powder girl anyway, so I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to set everything down with my Photo Focus banana powder, and then we will come back and work on the brows and continue on with the rest of the products that I picked up from this brand. We are back. Everything is set down, and I did end up having to go under my eyes with a pressed powder foundation because all of my darkness was starting to come through. That concealer, the corrector, doing absolutely nothing for me. Not impressed with that. So far, overall, as far as the base complexion products, I'm not really liking anything, which is unusual. Usually I like something, but yeah, so far, I'm not happy with anything that's on my face right now. But let's go ahead and move into brows. I picked up the Power Brow Pencil, and it has one of those kind of angled points. This is in dark brown, and then a spoolie on the other end. I'm going to clean up my brows just a little bit with the spoolie. Now we're going to try to fill in with this little angled tip. This is not usually the type of pencil point that I go for, you know, but I'm willing, you know, to give it a try. I only have like 2 eyebrow pencils left, so yeah, I am in need of some more brow products. I like the shade, and it's actually filling in pretty easily. I prefer something with more of a slim tip point, but this little angle tip is not terrible. Like I said, I'm really liking the shade, and it is giving me a natural looking brow. I'm going to go ahead and finish this real quick, and then we will come back and move into blush and highlighter. I picked up one of their blush and highlighter duos. This one is in Queen. They had several shades, but all but 2 shades were sold out. I really wanted this really deep shade that I saw, but yeah, it was no longer available. This is one of 2 shades that were left. This reminds me a lot of one of the bite-sized duos that I used to have from e.l.f. that I did declutter a while ago. We're going to try this out. It's a nice little soft kind of a peachy tone. I kind of made sure that the blush, highlighter, lip product, the eyeshadows all kind of coordinated so it would be a little bit easier to put together a look. That is pretty. It's a very soft peachy shade. It's not like super pigmented, but like going into the springtime, that is going to be really, really pretty. Ooh, it's a nice kind of a satin matte finish. Very, very pretty. Ooh. Yeah, that is going to be super nice now that we are in the springtime. Now we're going to go into our highlighter. It's kind of a peachy champagne shade. Let's see. Is this going to be gritty or smooth? It's okay. Shows a little bit more of my texture than I would like, but it's not terrible. I do prefer a highlighter that's a little bit smoother, but it's not awful, not by any means. Like I said, it really does remind me of one of the bite-sized duos from e.l.f., just in much bigger packaging. I'm going to prime my eyelids using my Juvia's Place I Am Magic Concealer. I almost forgot about the setting spray. This is the Power Fix Fixing Mist, 1.69 ounces. I think they had like 3 or 4 different formulas, including a hydrating one. Now that we're going to spring and summer, my skin gets a little bit shinier. I need something that's really going to hold my makeup down, and I thought we would give this one a try. Sprayer is pretty powerful. It's not like very misty. The fragrance is like cucumber water. It smells really, really fresh. As far as whether or not it's going to fix my makeup in place, I'm going to have to like wear it throughout the day to really know. But if I can remember, I'll put a pinned comment down letting you guys know. But hopefully this would be a good setting spray. Moving into eyeshadows, they had like 4 or 5, 6 different color stories. This one is called Fearless. I figured this one would go the best with the blush and the lipstick that I picked up. The palettes I find to be very interesting in the way that they're laid out, like the choice that they made as far as, you know, the pan sizing and everything. You have this really big kind of orangey shimmer. You have this little matte over here. This is just a basic like eggshell matte. I don't know why we needed a giant pan of eggshell matte, but that's what we have here. Then you have 2 other mattes in the middle, and then these are shimmers. And I just feel like the color story is like very interesting too. So basically, I'm supposed to take these 3 mattes to make an overall eye look, and then bring in these 3 shimmers. It's just very, very odd. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the eggshell shade and just put that all over my lid as like a setting shade. I'm going to use this big fluffy brush here to do that. They did have some really nice color stories though. There was one that had like a really, really bright blue that I was very, very tempted to get. But I knew me personally, I would get more use out of this one than out of that one. And especially when you're trying out a brown that you have never tried before, I didn't want like a super bright palette that I may not actually get any use out of. I have to say, man, this color story, it's just, it's something else. All right, so I guess we'll take the orange and softly blend that into the crease, and then take the red in the outer corner. I mean, there's not much that you can really do with this color story. So we'll take this pointy end of the BH Cosmetics brush, and I'm going to go into this lightly. I don't know what the pigment is going to be like, you know, in these shades. All right, pigmented, but not like super overly pigmented. Like you're not going in with a super bright, you know, pow burst of color right away. Nice and buildable. Is it a super impressive matte formula? No. I have better ones in my collection, but it's not terrible. For some reason, I got much brighter color on this side than I did on the other. That is just weird. I'm going to have to work on matching the 2 sides before we move into that red. All right, now that we are matching, we're going to take this little detailed brush from AOA Studio, and we're going to go into the red and focus that on the outer corner. I really do find the choice of shimmer shades in here to be quite odd. I guess they decided with this particular collection they wanted to be different. They wanted to think outside the box. And where these color stories are, they definitely did just that. That is a nice red though. Ooh, that's pretty. I have to say I am impressed with that red shade. It's pigmented. Ooh, it's blending really nicely. Once again, I got more color on this side than I did this one. So we're just gonna even that out real quick. It does fade out to a semi-pink, but for the most part, it does stay pretty red. So I'm impressed by that. All right, for shimmers, we have this reddish shimmer, we have this orangey gold shimmer, and then we have this yellow shimmer. I think I'm going to put that towards the inner corner and inner part of the eye. But I think for all over the lid, I'm going to try this one. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to go. I'm going to take this flat shader brush. Let's dip into that orangey gold shade and see what we end up with. Getting a lot of product on the brush, so it seems to be pretty easy to pick up. Ooh, that's very shiny. Very shiny. Ooh. That's kind of nice. I tell you what though, this color story makes for an interesting eye look. Not exactly sure what to think. I'm going to go back in with that red shade, blend out our edges. I'm going to take this pointy brush from Eloise, dip into a little bit of this yellow shimmer, and place that right here. Very interesting. This one is super bright, super pigmented. Very interesting look that we're putting together here today. I was looking for something more on the spring side, and other than like a really super neutral palette, this was the only one of the color stories that they had that was remotely close to something that was, you know, kind of soft and springy. Everything else was like super, super bright. I'm just going back in with my blender brush and doing just one more quick blend just to make sure everything just blend it together. They also had eyeliners. This one is the Ultra Slick Flick. It is an ink eyeliner in black. I think it's just a regular felt tip, not a brush tip. I finally got it out of the box, and then the pin on the inside is also covered with 10 layers of plastic. I hear a little ball in there, so we're going to shake this up. I am pretty picky when it comes to ink liners. I like something that's super black, something that's going to glide on. I prefer it to dry down matte, but it's not a big deal if it doesn't. But we have a nice big felt tip here, so let's go ahead and start applying. See what we get. Definitely super black. It doesn't glide on very well though. It does kind of skip a little bit. Let's see how it does making a wing on the outer corner. Try to make sure you guys can see. All right. It skipped a little bit going across the lash line, but for the wing, it actually just glided right on. So impressed with that. I'm going to do the other side, and then I'm going to throw on the Whisper Wink lashes. Also pick these up from Walmart. And then the last thing we have to try out today is the baby lipstick. A quick note as far as the complexion, I am noticing that the longer everything sits down and kind of melts into the skin, the better it's looking. So right now, my complexion looks way better than it did when I first started. So yeah, it's one of those things I'm just gonna have to kind of work with the products a little bit more before I can make my final decision on what I think about them. But let's move into our final product that I picked up today, which is lips. This is the baby lipstick. It is a demi matte formula, long wear, kissable. I thought that I picked up a more peachy tone, but this is actually looking more like a kind of a pinky nude. So I'm going to line my lips with my lip pencil from ColourPop and Bumble real quick first. They did have liquid lipsticks as well, kind of like a lip tint cheek kind of a product, but I didn't like any of the shades that they had left, so I thought we would just go with the lipstick. Nice and creamy, definitely a kind of a demi matte feel. I like that it goes on really smooth and super pigmented in like one little swipe. It's a comfortable formula. It does feel slightly sticky. It's not my favorite, you know, demi matte type of a formula. The shade, though, is really, really pretty, and it's not too off as far as the eye look is concerned, but that is everything that I picked up. Let's kind of talk about what we liked and what we didn't like. Before we do that real quick, I do want to throw in my ColourPop liner and Exit in my waterline real quick. Almost forgot that. Much better. Now let's talk about the products that we use today. Let's start with the primers. I didn't really find that the Super Matte Primer mattified. I didn't really see much pore vanishing happening with the Pore Vanishing Primer, but actually now that it's been sitting on my face a little bit more, I do see more blurring and everything happening. So I guess maybe it's one of those products you just have to kind of let it sit on your skin for a while before you really start to see something happening. The foundation, it was okay. I didn't really find that the finish was all that great. And it also sets down like really, really quickly. So you want to work really, really fast with this product because it does set down really, really fast. Like I said, I'm going to get this in a lighter shade and mix it together to see if maybe, because I really want to know if it's the product or if it's the finish. You know, if you don't have the right shade, something that can affect the way the finish is looking on your skin, if that makes any sense. The product that I most definitely did not like really at all is the little Conceal and Contour palette. I did like these two little deeper shades here as a bronzer. This one did work really well for that, but as far as the concealers, the corrector did absolutely nothing. It didn't cover anything. All my darkness is still coming through. Was not impressed with these at all. This product though was kind of nice. I do wish the pan was bigger though. The brow pencil and the liner. I do like the formula on the brow pencil and I like the shade. I wish it was a slim tip though and not that kind of angled pencil. I find those a little bit harder, you know, to have control over, but I'm not hating on it. I just need to kind of play with it a little bit more. So far, I like the way my brows look. Like they look really natural. I don't look like I'm wearing like heavy pencil on my brows. I didn't mention, but I am a brow pencil person. Powders, you know, gels, wax, I don't use anything like that. I only use pencils. The liner was actually pretty good too. It skipped a little bit on the lash line itself, but when I did the wing, it actually did really well with the wing and it is super, super black. Loving that. The eyeshadow formula, you know, it's okay. It's not anything like, you know, super amazing to write home about or anything, but I do feel like everything performed really well. Color story is interesting. Like I said, I guess they're trying to think outside the box, you know, with these little color stories, and you know, it put together a pretty eye look. I'm not, you know, upset with it. I'm not complaining or anything. You know, the formula was decent. I did like the blush and highlighter duo, especially the blush. I think it's such a beautiful satin matte finish to the skin. Not super matte. That peachy shade is just going to be gorgeous this time of year. The highlighter was okay. The real star of this palette was the blush. And then the last thing that we tested out is the lipstick. It's okay. Not super impressed. I think the lipstick was only like $1.89, $2.89, something like that. So the lipstick was one of the cheaper products that I picked up today. The packaging reminds me a lot of the satin lipsticks from e.l.f. The formula is okay. I love the fact that it pretty much gave me this really nice smooth pigment in one swipe. That's really, really nice. Do I think it's a revolutionary formula? No, but it's a nice lipstick. It's got a pretty shade to it. That is going to be the end of this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. I do hope you found it helpful. It's really nice to go into the drugstore and actually see a product with a drugstore price. I'm going to play around with these products some more and I'll let you know in a future video, you know, if they worked better for me. We'll just have to see. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to give the video a thumbs up. It really does help with my channel. If you're new to my channel and you're not already subscribed, I would love it if you would consider joining my little family and hitting subscribe. And make sure you tap the bell so you do not miss a thing. You can also follow me on my other socials. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Be safe, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.